Hello teachers, welcome to the first tutorial video for Standard for Success, which is our new evaluation tool. It's a departure from the Harmony tool, which we've had for about 4 or 5 years. What you will do in Standard for Success, you will you type in, as you can see up here, you can use this if you'd like. As you watch this video, you can type in the website for Standard for Success. What I did in the bar is just typically typed in Standard for Success, all one word. It will pop up with a login. You will use your login that was given to you at the introduction. It's usually your first initial, last name, basically your email, and then whatever password they have given at that time. As you get into your Standard for Success personal windows, you'll see your name. It should say summary for, and it should have your name. It shouldn't say Westdell Mid-High Sandbox because this is a practice. So you would want to see your name up here. You'd also want to see evaluation ending June 2017. You hit that, you may see evaluation ending June 2016 because they are rolling over our evaluations from Harmony. If you do not have the 2016, don't worry. That's not what we're in here for today, and you don't have to concern yourself with it. We'll get that figured out at another time. Observations, you'll see those listed as those start to become completed. These are all practice. Again, this is a practice area, so these are all practice. If you have your shorts completed or they've been sent to you, you'll start to see those in here, and they'll keep those going for you. Not concerned with that again today. We're concerned over here on our right-hand side, and we're concerned with the third one down, which is your student learning objective. This is what we want to work on today. So as you come over here and you scroll down to the third one, student learning objective, please scroll over overview in blue, and you'll see that it will underline it and it will give you the finger point. Go ahead and click on overview, and it will take you into your setting your student learning objectives window. When you're inside of here, you would typically see two blue sentences. You wouldn't have this unless you've already had one set, and none of you should have that yet. And if you do, don't worry about it too much right now. This one is a class learning objective that was a practice one done back on August 18th. Don't worry about it. What you need to do now, you've got the first one right here. Let's start a new class learning objective. Again, scroll over the blue. You get an underline. You'll get the finger point. Click it. It'll take you to the new window. You're now in the class learning objective window for this year. What you'll see is two different things. You'll see that the pre-work, which is what we're going to be working on now, is all blue. And that when you've completed all of your testing, and it's near the end of the year or even next year for those of you who have iStep data, you'll come down and you'll finish up the gray at that time. So that's more end of the year stuff. The blue is what we're going to be working on here today. Most of these boxes are pretty easy. They're similar to what the information was that we did in Harmony. The difference now is you don't have to click into 5 different levels to do the class learning objectives or the SLOs. You basically just have 2. You have a class and a targeted. As we're in the class right now and you're in the blue, you're going to start with the simple ones right here at the top. Grade level, subject, and period. And I will be honest with you, we're not really concerned with the period. It doesn't matter. You can add it if you'd like to. So as I click into that box, I have my grade level. I'm going to go ahead and go with 7th. And my subject, I'm going to go with math. And I'm going to go ahead and make up a period. You don't have to do it, but I'm going to say period 3. You move to the second, approved assessment. Now remember, if you have already had an assessment approved prior to this year and you've used it in Harmony, we're not going to have to re-approve all those assessments. All we're doing is changing our software. So if you've used an assessment in the past and it's a pre-test, post-test, or the iStep or any of that stuff, you're fine. You don't have to resubmit that to your primary evaluator and get that approved. If you are a new teacher to the building and you're not using a pre-approved test from maybe the department, and it's a class test and you've created it, then you will want to get with your primary evaluator and let them see that and make sure it gets approved. For 7th grade math, period 3, my approved assessment, since I am going to be in the growth model data group, which is group 1, I will have to use that wonderful iStep. I will put iStep Plus. If you're an art teacher, which is what I really was, not a 7th grade math teacher, I could be using my class test that I've created, my class assessment, pre, post, maybe it's my final. A lot of you have used that before. Perhaps I use something different as far as my approved assessment that's been with my primary evaluator. It might be a department. If I had a department, I might have a department. I think we do have a couple departments in our building that have created a test that covers a grade level. And so that's also approved. So it just depends on what your approved assessment is. For me, since I picked 7th grade math, I have to use the good old I-STEP. Now, my approved mastery score, again, using the I-STEP, is a wonderful pass or pass plus. Okay, so I have to use that, pass or pass plus. That tells me whether or not I did a good job here in this RISE tool, is whether I have the pass or pass plus. I don't get any leeway if I'm in that growth model data. Now, if I were, again, an art teacher and kind of block out those first two, I might say that my approved mastery, and I've agreed with my primary evaluator, might be 75%. And so I might have a percent in there, but I can't do that. So I'm going to have to go with the pass or the pass plus. If I could spell today, that would help. And so that's what you would do. So whatever your approved mastery is. So you're looking at your grade level, the class that you're going to do, approved assessment. Many of you already have those done. Just fill that in there, and then your mastery score. Again, you may have that again carried over from last year. Then my next box down here is the number of students' preparedness. And I'm going to have to find my high, my medium, and my low students. Many of you have done a pretest to calculate that. Others have looked at past I-STEP scores, prerequisite class grades, maybe last year's grades, even current grades, current performance in class. Typically, 2 or 3 pieces of evidence gives you your high, medium, and low students. You don't need to put the evidence on here. All you need to do is know what those numbers are. I'm going to say I have 8 students are in the high level. I've got 12 students in the medium level, and I have 5 students in the low level. If I click outside the box, it totals it for me and tells me I've got 25 students. So again, 8, 12, 5, click those in there, and then if I click on the outside, it'll give me that 25. So I've got 25 students in the class. I've figured out their high, medium, and low. I can go down here. You're going to see this little box that says I'm uploading a custom assessment in the supporting documents area below. I obviously wouldn't be doing that if I'm a 7th grade math teacher because I have to use the I-STEP, which is a state test. However, if I am a new teacher and I want to upload my custom assessment, I can do so. I can click that box. Or if I'm another non-new teacher who wants to upload my assessment, you can do that. It's not mandatory at this time. Then we have some supporting documents over here in blue, and it tells you what are allowed, gives you all of the, obviously, docs, pages, Excels, PDFs, and it gives you all different options that you can put in. Note that a max, it needs to be 12 megabyte per file, especially with those videos that can get up pretty high. But we're not there at this point, starting out in Standard for Success, so not too much to worry about here. Supporting documents may include custom assessments, analysis of student data, that documents their level of preparedness. So if you have used some grades from last year or any documents or any proof of how you found these, you can upload those here under the upload now, and you can choose the file if you'd like. If you don't, again, you don't have to, so don't feel like you have to. This is the necessary components right here for right now. So let's skip on down, and we're still in blue, and now we have to fill out our rubric. So inside our rubric, we have our highly effective, our improvement necessary, and our ineffective. And then it gives us kind of an idea of how we will get to highly effective on our class. And then it gives us the guidelines. So you'll notice the big things to remember in the performance level is this says exceptional number of students, significant number of students, less than significant number of students, and moved no or few students. So a lot of room there. But then as you move over to the guidelines, you find out not as much room as you thought, because it kind of guidelines tells you all students in the high, medium, and most students in the low. Again, those are suggested guidelines. Doesn't have to be that way. And many times that may not be the case. If I'm looking at the I-STEP right now, I may talk with my primary evaluator and say, given past performance, for myself to pull what looks to be about 23 out of 25 students, if I followed this guideline, might be a little too difficult. But if I want to do pass or pass plus, I probably will get 8 of my top performers And it says here that you should get all of your medium, but again, that's a suggested guideline. Let's say I only get 10 out of 12. And then at the bottom, it says we would get most of the students. Well, let's say we get 3 out of 5. And then I'm going to click over here, and it will show you that 21 out of 25 is an 84%. So basically, I'm saying 84%. As I go back up here to my mastery, I have to say pass or pass plus. I'm saying 84% of my students are going to pass or pass plus the 7th grade math ISTEP. If my approved mastery score were a 75, then I'm going to hit that pretty easy right there, and I'm going to get the 4 because I'm well above that. If I hit that 23 out, or that 21 out of 25. Now, again, the suggested guideline is a suggested guideline. So as you can see, I took the liberties here to make this 10 out of 12, not 12 out of 12. So basically what I'm doing is I'm setting now what I think my students can do based off of what I've seen of level of preparedness and just trying to anticipate how they'll do. It's a guessing game. It really is. Most of you that are doing your own class assessment in Group 2, it's not as much of a guessing game because you have that data. You can work with them throughout. For our growth model data students, growth model teachers in Group 1, it is a guessing game. You're hoping that they will do really well on that test, and it is difficult to kind of guess how that would be. So now, let's say in the next one for effective, for myself to get a 3, I need all students in the high. I can say that. I'll say, okay, I think we can do that. Most of the students in the medium, well, I gave 10 students the last time. Let's just take a quick estimate here. Let's say 9. And then in the low, we got many of the students. Let's say we got 2 of them. Well, at that point, we are at 19 out of 25. We're at 76%. And judging if I'm going to set this at this level at an 84, 76, if this was, if I was going for a goal of 75% mastery on anything, I'm still doing pretty good. If this wasn't an ISTEP class, I'm at 76%, 19 out of 25. Is that? I know a lot of you would say that's not good enough for me, but it still leaves you pretty solid in there to get that effective, that 3 rating. So you don't want to kind of what they would say, shoot yourself in the foot and go too high with this. And you also don't want to go too low, but your primary evaluator has to approve this. So we get a look at this. So you just kind of play in that guessing game. So now I'm saying 19 out of 25 of my 7th grade math students are going to pass or pass plus. In improvement necessary, its suggested guideline is most students in the high and medium. So if I'm saying most students, let's say I got one kid didn't make it in there, and since I did 9 up here, I'm going to go, we'll go 8, and then few in the low, I'm only going to put 1. And if I do that, that's going to give me 16 out of 25. I've dropped it 3 more students, and this gives me a 64. That's pretty low, but judging from where I am on setting my calculations so far, and going off of past data from ISTEP, I may decide that this is a reasonable level for my students. It all goes down to the work you do in finding whether they're high, medium, or low students, and they can change, and we know that. So at that point, I've set the grade level, the subject, the assessment, the mastery, my high, medium, and low students. I've come down here and I've filled in, and I'm happy with the percentages that I have to be either highly effective, or improvement necessary. And at that point, I would request administrative approval, click right there, and I'd go ahead and update that. And it would await for my primary evaluator to go in, which would be Mr. Mealy, Mr. Slopson, and Mr. Denny, to look at this, and they would approve it or not approve it. And if it gets sent back to you, you would move forward on that. So again, this is our class learning objective. This is our first one that we're trying to set. And I'm sure we'll have questions about this, but you can always come down and see us. You don't have to worry about the highlighted in gray yet. We'll work on that later and hopefully have a video to help you with that. If not, we might have a group session where we can work on that. I hope this has been helpful. And if you do have any questions, contact myself, Mr. Slopsema, or Mr. Denny, and we will help you through this. Thank you for your time.